spooky, scary skeleton. Hey, everybody. You look so pained, Ruben.
It's gonna have to put up with this shit.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
No.
Frosty looks dead good because we're playing horror spook mode, which is why all our rooms are slightly darker than they would otherwise be.
Yeah. Slightly darker, only. But yeah, guys, we're doing something a bit different, as was stated in the announcement. We're not going to be playing D&D today, for once. We are instead going to be playing a very rules-light system, and what that means is just that the system doesn't have very much at all in the way of rules. Like, Ruben, if you wouldn't mind showing them the character sheet.
Yes.
Actually, it's incredibly sparse.
So, I'm trying to do this in a way where it won't show anything about my character yet.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, it's a very rules-light system. It's called Cthulhu Dark. And
like we should have made characters on stream, because then people would be like, people would actually realize how quick it is for Ruben and I to be like, yeah, we'll have in-depth characters in 25 seconds.
Remember what I told you like 10-15 minutes ago?
Jen's switching up the setting.
Wabam! Yeah, it's sci-fi, guys. It is indeed sci-fi, and you two are going to be making backup characters. I would think of them less necessarily as backup characters and more as like people that can just come in from the background if at any point.
Yeah, it's like making NPCs that we will have access to if we die.
Pretty much.
Or if we're separated, you could throw us into like a group of people. Mm-hmm. You could just throw our backup character in. I mean, yeah, he and I could both play two characters. It won't be hard.
Yeah,
I feel that. But the idea today, guys, is to have a bit of a spoopy experience. It's going to be horror oriented. We'll see if I can make it actually horror-ish. I'm actually curious, you two. I don't know if I ever got to actually ask either of you this. Was the last horror game I ran for you two, did that actually evoke anything? When you guys played it?
I think you know my response for that.
I knew your response. That's right.
I died very early on, guys. But Bajan whispered me and let me play the monster, essentially, the villain.
Oh, yeah.
Which was great. And
it was lovely.
I sort of like lured Frosty into also like dying as the villain, which was great.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
I was using kind of the same system, though we are implementing a few more rules now. Mm-hmm. Like the failing rule, which
and insanity.
You guys should be able to see here.
Yes.
Why does everyone need to shave? Because we're all animals. We're all filthy, disgusting
At the end of the
males.
Day, yep.
Dude, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the game. I mean, it gave some creepy vibes. Didn't know what was going on. I enjoyed more so the human conflict that was in that game, because there was a lot of inner party struggles, like how there was a friend of ours who played sort of an unhinged character who is Midge. He was playing a sort of unhinged guy, and he was like pointing and waving his gun around. So my guy was all focused on like, got to get the gun away from this person.
Yep.
Which was a lot of fun to play, because my guy had no firearms experience whatsoever.
Yeah.
Quick test. I just lowered my mic by like 6 decibels. How does that sound, guys? Does that sound better? Am I less loud?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I think
it's the stream thing mostly.
Okay.
But
Do you have any gain on?
Okay, Zach says it's good now. Okay, cool. I'll stick with that then.
Nice. Okay.
Mitch the Unhinged. Exactly.
So my backup character can be anyone, yes?
Yeah, but before we get to that, yes, it can be anyone who would be in your platoon. Before we get to that, I can give you guys some more backstory, if you would like.
Yep.
So, you guys are part of what is known as simply the Core. It's not a military designation. It's actually a sprawling stellar faction, effectively. It's also called lengthier the United Systems of the Core. And the United Systems of the Core and the Dominion have been basically having these sort of proxy battles for the last couple decades, really. They've just been at odds for really time immemorial. And this is a time like any other, or so the military is of the mind to believe. There was very recently an attack by the Dominion on a United Systems of the Core space station known as the Eidolon. And you guys were a part of the nearest battle group, effectively, and a transport ship of your platoon, the 8th platoon of Foxtrot Company, Firebirds, are being sent over. And it was supposedly simply an insurrection attack upon the space station, pushed on basically by the Dominion, like catalyzed by the Dominion. And you guys, a single platoon of military soldiers, like fully trained, fully armed, are deemed enough to deal with this threat. So that is what is going on right now. Now, you guys have already made your main characters. If you want to talk about those briefly,
I'll get the pictures up as well.
All right.
So, if you want to go first, Frosty.
Sure. I am Second Lieutenant Lasky. I am a blue-collar type guy, and by blue-collar type guy, I mean, if any of you have ever met sort of one of those guys that works pretty high up in a union, one of those guys who's like, nope, don't pick up that keg, that's not in your job description, like, he's one of those types of guys, but he has seniority on the ship. He's the ship's navigation officer, so essentially what he does is he sits at a computer and literally just reads what the sophisticated system is telling him in terms of, yes, the port is this many clicks away, we're moving at this speed, engine 2s are at this capacity, and like he just has all these little things that he can just read, but he also is just mainly saying, yeah, there's an anomaly 2 clicks northeast. Scanning. No life signs. Like, that's literally all my guy does. He just sits there and fucking just literally reads what's on a computer screen and tells people, and then has grandiose self-importance because of it. And he also has a cat on the ship named Bob.
Which I will also.
If you want to show them, Bob.
Showing them Bob. There is Bob.
Nice.
I can also, because he's in a handout, get him up in max size. There's Bob, guys. Yeah, there we go. And my character is Caleb, also known as Caleb, or Specialist Caleb. I am a robotics expert and act as the android aboard the ship. My main priorities involve keeping communications between multiple groups when we're out on scouting missions, and handling accessing any sort of locked computers or any computering devices. And I have an extensive library of sort of knowledge of multiple systems and OS operating systems and all that goodness. My character is very sort of formal just from programming and speaks very well.
You're very human. You're very human-like, though, right?
Yes.
You wouldn't be.
Oh yeah.
No, my voice isn't robotic at all. And
you can feel.
the only thing that really of any note that would indicate that I'm not an android is like under my clothes, like towards the lower part of my back. There's probably like a barcode-esque, like not like a barcode, but just like the sort of the number that I have from my operating system, and my eyes are a different color from normal because they couldn't replicate the pigment properly. Sort of just an anomaly with just my issue line.
Yep.
But yes,
that's pretty accurate.
I'm Caleb. Hello.
You are indeed Caleb. I identify as Caleb.
My name.
So
the reason it's Caleb is just because I realized I can't read that on the screen. I don't think.
My name is Jeff.
Contact and access low energy bot. That's what it stands for.
Hell yeah. That's actually lovely.
But yeah.
So you guys can go ahead and let me actually make a sheet for this. Or not a sheet. I'll give you both sheets that you can make these other characters in.
Nice.
And then I will. So Slam, Frosty, you are Azesh.
The chat's just talking about how Bob is fucking evil already. They're just like, Bob's a demon.
Bob is evil. Bob is evil.
Suppressed. There you guys go.
Okay.
And they can be
Ah, cool.
Whomever.
I knew I was Zip Frost instead of Rip Frost.
Right. So, if you guys have any questions about the universe, you may ask me. But as it is, you can think of the military you're a part of as pretty darn close to like what the American military would look like if it were in space, basically. Actually, no, it's more like the European military in space, just with a lot more hardware, basically. Yeah, because it's not like you guys are gung-ho about having ridiculous hardware, but you have military power at your disposal, basically. The Corps does.
If it's all the same with you, Tripper, I would like my backup character to be a floricologist.
What?
I have an extensive knowledge of any flowers, plants, anything like that.
Okay.
Basically, I'm like a biologist who specializes in plants.
That's fantastic. You are going to be on the station.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah, you're not coming with a military group.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like it.
Cool. That'll be my backup then.
Sweet.
And I'll find a decent picture for him for you guys. Meanwhile, how are you doing, Mr. Brennan?
My character is going to be Private First Class Warren. It's a younger guy in the military. So he doesn't have much of a rank, much of a place doing anything. Pretty much, he would be the guy that would be like, he'd probably carry some sort of like short-range comms on him.
Mm-hmm.
So he has like a specific duty, but he's a
radio guy.
Yeah, he's just a radio guy.
Nice. Okay.
So he might help open doors and do things like that. Like he probably does tech-related stuff. So he's not all just about like going in there and blasting fools.
So I'm going to ask a question about each of your characters.
Yeah.
It's the same question, and it might sound cheesy, but go with it. We'll start with Caleb. What is Caleb's greatest fear? Mm-hmm. Ah, okay. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whiskey just got muted apparently to them.
Oh, my bad. Oh yes, that's my bad. Sorry, I fucked up.
Daisy.
Thank you, chat, for letting us know. So my character's biggest fear, I was just saying, it was a lack of having his agency taken away, having his free will taken away. Basically being turned into just a robot who's just given orders, as opposed to being able to think for himself or themselves.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Good to know. For context, the Corps, the faction that you guys are in the military of, has a sort of gray policy on lawless AI, which is what they're called, lawed AI, basically unbraked AI. For those of you familiar with shows without number, are the AI that have basically brakes on them, have limits, are forced to follow Asimov's laws. The lawless, the unbraked AI, are almost no different from people, other than the fact that they have incredibly powerful processors.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to use those most of the time to replicate human, basically, emotion behavior.
Warkaiser just said, when will we be able to use our ship points to affect the game? Not this stream. That's something that's being like prepped, and it won't be ship points. There'll be like a special loading dice exclusive gold system. But that's like a future project. We're just sort of like running one shots while these guys prepare their
we're still balancing the economy of that and trying to figure out what's fair for you guys to spend, etc. Because we don't want our parties dying every single fucking game.
Yeah. It's just like level 10 CR 10 dragon against a level 2 party. That seems like a decent counter.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Totally fair.
And you spend 10 shit points to buy it.
10 shit points. So what is Lasky's greatest fear?
Lasky's is very simple. Dying.
Yep.
Okay.
Just dying. That would be Lasky's greatest fear.
Gotcha. Nice and simple. All right, and Martin.
Martin's greatest fear is probably he has at least 5 of them, and they range from anything vaguely spider-like, the sight of blood, which is why he is a specific plant biologist, and then personal fear is probably being discredited, like having his name wiped from all sort of history, having no trace of himself.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Those are 3 of the biggest fears. There you go.
Gotcha. Thanks. And,
it's Martin with a Y because he's probably somehow Scandinavian, Warkaiser.
He's edgy. He's fucking edgy, guys. Jeez.
Alright.
Senora Warren.
His biggest fear would probably be failing those close to him when they need him the most.
Okay.
Not being able to perform what he needs to and when it matters, I think would be his biggest fear.
All right.
Because he's trained to work as a unit, right? So just being the weak link, I think is what he's afraid of.
Gotcha. Okay.
So Warren and Lasky, 2 completely different individuals.
Yep. There was one other thing. Let me get into this also. What's up?
My biggest fear is not winning the Mordhau giveaway.
Oh, jeez. Figures. Okay.
It's funny as fuck.
Yeah, so one thing. The rules are very simple for everyone watching, but for you two, there's something that was suggested in the rulebook that I want to very much do. I want the 2 of you to determine when it is your character's insanity is at risk. So, or sanity, sorry, because when that happens, when your sanity is at risk, you must roll insanity die. And if you get your score or lower, it goes up a point, I believe. And then the only way to lower it is to either destroy the things that are giving you this insanity.
Yeah, if we got a bunch of information which is like these, like whatever. Let's just say it's like we have no idea what's coming at us, but let's say it's like these weird aliens that somehow defy the laws of physics, and we have all this information that says like this is how they defy the laws of physics. It's like this doesn't make any sense. What the fuck is this? Like it's like written in glyphs that for some reason we can read. We're just like, oh no, just destroy it. Get this out of my sight. That'll stop you from being insane.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. Or like you're alone. Find people and it'll stop you from going insane. Yeah.
And also you can hurt yourself to keep yourself from going insane.
Yep.
But if you try something to try to get yourself to not go insane, it can fail. So it is a very difficult system, but it's not meant to be based around the difficulty. It's meant to be based around the narrative.
Atmosphere.
Exactly. So, I think you two have your characters.
Should do.
So,
close these sheets.
Yeah, I figured I would make 2 polar opposites, like a private who's like willing to help and get a lot of stuff done, and then like a guy who's just not. You know, like I think that'll be a fun clash between the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, almost definitely. So we have the sergeant. Right. So the 2 of you who are militarily inclined, as in your private and your technical officer, are part of Squad Baker, the technical squad, basically, and led by Sergeant Baker. But
so Martin and Warren are a part of Baker's, or Caleb.
Caleb, yeah. Caleb and Warren. Yeah. Caleb and Warren. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And I believe we can rock and roll. If you guys so desire, you guys good to go?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm ready when you are.
All right, that's what I like to hear. So, all around you, both of you, space. The final frontier. Though, these days, it's not so much. Most of the space that is known has either been explored or there are plans to explore it. You guys are within some of the most innermost systems of the known universe. Colonized systems. Earth is just a few jumps away, in fact, but you're far away from Earth. You find yourself in a system, the Prike system, where above the planet of Zion there lies a space station, Eidolon. Eidolon is by far the most technologically advanced and most populous station in all of the United Core worlds. However, this also makes it a prime target for things like, well, insurrectionist attacks. And just such a thing was reported to you, all of you. You're currently on the destroyer-class ship, the Reinhardt. Currently bunking, more than likely, with your platoon mates. Right now is R&R. What are both of you doing?
I'm probably, because even though it's R&R, I probably don't have that much R&R to keep up on. So I'm likely pretty much just sat down somewhere in almost like a perfectly neutral posture with a plug matrix coming out the back of my neck, just recharging.
Yeah.
So I'm probably just sitting there almost completely neutral, just occasionally turning my head to look at people going past. My sort of elbows resting just at the curve between my torso, my legs, and my hands resting on my knees.
Yeah. You have no shortage of people who would see you turn into scrap metal on this ship. But likewise, you have those people that you can trust.
Yeah.
With your personality and with who and what you are. One such person is just a few bunks away. Lasky, what are you doing?
Lasky would actually be sitting at his console. I know that it's R&R time, but he doesn't really spend a lot of time around the rest of the crew.
Okay.
He'd be sitting there. Bob would be fucking with something below his console at his feet, and we would just see him resting his hand on his chair with a lit cigarette, just looking at the meter as it slowly ticks down to their destination. Just something comforting in that to him.
Yeah.
He'd just be looking out, the window as well, just to see the stars and whatever else we're looking at.
Yeah. So, are you on the transport ship? In dock? In the bay? Or are you on a console in the bunks area?
I'd be on the ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the name of the transport ship?
The name of the transport ship is we actually call it the VS Dauntless.
I like that. The Dauntless. Yeah. And you guys have run many successful operations on it, with your help, obviously. You do your job. That's the way you like to think about it. Now, Bob is currently just, like clawing around, just sort of scratching at a steel panel on the floor. And it's kind of his panel, basically. It's got the most wear in the bridge.
Yeah, I just kind of like look down and just, hey, just like slightly kick at him, not to hurt him, but just to get him away.
Yeah, he jumps and starts sort of roaming around the rest of the cabin.
Useless son of a bitch. Just starts smoking again.
Yeah. And it is just silent, save, of course, for the constant work being done throughout the hangar bay that you are in. Ships being grinded across the deck, being flown in and out. And a little bit of time passes until you get a basically comm pip on your comlink. Lasky, it seems to be on the officer's channel, and you recognize the sound of your lieutenant, actually. His name is Lieutenant Everett. Son, you in my ship?
Yeah, I just click on the thing. This is Lasky.
Alright, good. Get her prepped for launch. We drew a short straw. I'm heading to the bunks to tell the rest of the crew. But you get it ready, alright?
Yeah, I just, like, and then I'll just click the button again.
Yeah. Click the button.
How short of a straw are we talking?
8th platoon, our platoon, selected to get on the Eidolon. You remember the report this morning?
Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, I skimmed it. I barely read it. Yeah. I skimmed it.
We'll just get her ready. We'll be making liftoff in an hour. All right.
Okie doke. Lasky out. Fuck. Yeah, fuck, and just like take off the headset and throw it onto the front console.
Yeah. You chuck it away, and as the headset clatters across the console, we find ourselves looking at the steel floor of the bunks yet again, and a door slides apart as we see the lieutenant walk through. The lieutenant is not an old man by any means, but very crisp, very military, first and foremost. Crew cut, sort of just the barest of stubble, and just a hard, very stern, cold face as he walks in, and everyone who is standing comes to attention. Everyone who is not rushes to their feet. Caleb, what do you do? What is your ritual?
I'm almost like instantly at my feet as soon as he enters, like nice. Almost standing straight up, and I just like turn to face him. Very, not it's not unnatural in that like I look unhuman like, but it's just slightly too quick, reaction wise.
Yeah, like there are motors spinning, not muscles tensing.
Mm-hmm.
So you whip out of your chair the magnetic cable attached to the back of your neck, just an afterthought as it pulls itself free practically. And you are standing at attention, along with the vast majority of your platoon.
Yeah, Warren would be as well.
Yeah, of course. I will give the small vignettes to your backups. What does Warren look like as he rushes to attention?
Warren was sitting on his bunk, scraping the last little bit of rice out of an MRE that he was eating out of this weird tray, because he got to his food a little bit late because he actually fucked up part of his chest rig.
Yeah.
During a training exercise, so he was trying to fix it. So he was like eating and fixing it. So when the officer comes in, he would just kind of like get up, and just like salute as he comes in. But he's got like some rice on his on his fatigues.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the lieutenant starts pacing down the line, his arms behind his back, crossed. All right, man. We're going to be pushing out at 0900, 1 hour from now. I need you all ready to rock. All right, we're heading on to the Eidolon. There's been an insurrectionist attack there. Supposedly Dominion activity. We don't know. Apparently, it's not so bad as to get the whole company. So, we're stepping up. And he's looking at each and every one of them. And you notice the Sergeant Major, both Warren and Caleb, who is basically the boots-on-the-ground second in command to Baker, start to take a step out of line and basically turn toward him. Lieutenant, sir! Are we to expect resistance? Yes, son. We are to expect resistance. There was a notification that the security forces aboard the Eidolon were able to deter the attackers from several decks, but they haven't been brought down. So I need you all suited up, fully armed, locked and loaded, and getting on my ship.
Lieutenant,
1 hour's time.
Has a life form scan been committed?
We haven't had any transports or ships pass by the Eidolon since the report, but long-range scanners and digital transmissions from the station tell us that there are survivors aboard, and the security protocol has been enacted. Lockdown is in full force.
Understood, sir.
Yeah, your sergeant is very close to you, Caleb. Sergeant Baker pulls down his salute and says, well, what are you waiting for, you layabouts? Let's go! Yeah, and everyone just kind of snaps into gear after your sergeant says that. And the lieutenant starts to just pace around the room, just kind of get the measure of everyone. And Lasky, what are your, as we see the lieutenant start to pace around, we go up, we look at the ceiling lights, these very white, almost hospital-like lamps in the ceiling, and then find ourselves looking back down inside the Dauntless yet again, as men are already boarding. Some time has passed. What is Lasky doing?
What we see Lasky doing while there are people, we can hear boots in the other hallway. Yeah. Lasky's sitting over the captain's chair because there's a bit of it that has some felt on it to make it a little bit more comfortable. Yeah. And we just see this long string of spit just pour out of his mouth and land right on the fucking seat of the captain's chair. And as soon as the boots are heard, he gets up and wipes his mouth and walks over to his console and starts lazily with one hand just typing in, coordinates. He's getting the exact location locked and, ready to rock, essentially, so that it can just be self-automated. Because he's a human element that's barely needed in this job. It's just, it's more annoying to have a robot read things that are on a screen and communicate them to you than it would be a human. So... Yeah, he's just punching in all these codes. He's unlocking different consoles, things like that, and just getting shit prepped. He's leaving the pilot's area alone, though, because they need to do that themselves. But all of his stuff, like the status of system of the ship systems and just anything navigational related, he's getting it all ready.
Yeah, you're doing everything you can. It's at this point when the chief pilot walks into the room. He's the closest thing to your second, but you really don't see eye to eye. His name is Chief Officer Dillinger, and he walks in and he walks up to his consoles and he looks across him, looks to you. How long you been here, Lasky? Couldn't turn on my machines?
Just got in. Sorry.
You lazy son of a bitch. He just starts pressing some buttons on his console. God damn. Second tenants.
Yeah, I just go and, I sit back. I'm just going to go sit in my chair and lean back so it makes a really loud creak sort of as it goes back, like I'm relaxing while he's running around doing all his shit.
Yeah, doing all his bullshit. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So, you are making yourself very comfortable in front of your consoles and your chair. What is your... This kind of should color a little bit your personality, I guess. What does your console area look like? What does the navigation console look like? Like, what's decorating it?
The things that are decorating it is there is an ashtray on one of the left consoles and on the right console, just because I switch hands a lot, so I need to ash in different spots based on what hand, because my guy's smoking a lot. And at the center console, there is one lonely pair of dog tags that are hanging from it, but they don't say Lasky's first name. They do say Lasky, but they don't say my person's first name. It's a different name entirely.
Okay. Interesting. All right, so that's you. Caleb, you kind of double as a technical officer on the ship. Mm-hmm. And I will pose the same question to you. What does your console area look like?
So my console area is actually increasingly messy. Just because anytime I use a thing, I just put it somewhere, as long as it's not unobstructed, as long as it's not obstructing a screen or anything like that, I don't care where it goes. So there are like just tons of different there's just like a kitchen roll that's like got like partially unlooped from where I had to wipe something off a screen that someone spilled, and I've just like left it there. There are these various like little collectible toys of probably like a child's line of toy, just like over the top of the desk, and then behind them, like, you know, some of them have knocked over and I haven't seen that, had to like readjust them, that sort of thing.
Interesting.
But yeah, basically like most of the space other than screen or keyboard space is pretty much cluttered.
Okay. Cluttered with what sort of stuff? Other than the toys?
Yeah, so there's also a lot of... Because I don't eat, but there's a lot of various garbage from stuff I've been like trying to put together. So there's like parts of like circuit boards, wires, like the various things that are like semi-attached that I sort of like get to whenever there's like a load bar. I'll like go over and like pick one up and start like trying to toy around with it, trying to basically like make like mini computers and like little like things that you'd like put into a phone, like a mod for a phone and that sort of thing. And anyone around the ship knows that I generally like sell these like to other people. Like whenever anybody has a retired phone, I'll buy them off them, use like the spare parts, like I guess compad rather than phone, use the retired parts to like scrap together like a little add-on for somebody else's phone, and then like sell them, like sort of something that will help the processing run faster or anything like that. So there's various like computer scraps around as well.
Okay, yeah, so you're a bit of a tinkerer is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, just don't like being inefficient with my free time. So if there's any time where I have to like wait for something to happen,
then you've got something to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I feel that. Okay. Nice. So you're both carrying out your various tasks. We'll say Warren is mustering with the other men, doing his best to organize, and Martin is off at your guys' destination. So. Actually, I think we will have a moment where we leave. We leave the ship you guys are on, and find ourselves traveling very quickly through the system you guys are in, the Pryke system. And above the planet Zion, we see the space station, the Eidolon. And all around it are a myriad of radio towers, silos, just massive ornamentation of technology, though none of it is ornamental in nature. And we come in and we see that there are arrays of windows, and through one window we can see a group of people cowering behind seemingly a closet door. There are 3 people. One of them is up against the door. The other 2 are simply up against the wall. It's a very small closet, very, very dark. The room through this closet door seems to be some kind of laboratory. And we can see men, very sparsely armored, but seemingly heavily armed assault rifles with holographic ammo displays and these heavy laser weaponry can be seen as about 3 separate men start walking throughout this laboratory. And within, there are a series of basically holding tubes with amniotic fluid within that seems to be holding in place some kind of life form. It looks human, however, after focusing in just a little bit more. But it seems like it has an umbilical cord, despite the fact that they are fully adult. Across this room, across this laboratory, we can also see just a myriad of vial containers, centrifuges, things of that nature. And if we pull into the hallway beyond, we see a similar status. There are very small clusters of men pockmarked throughout this main hall that seems to round Eidolon, along with groups of people seemingly stuck wherever they are. And then we leave the Eidolon, and we see in orbit around her a ship, the Dauntless. You have been in transit for 12 hours. Everyone aboard this transport ship. You've arrived, and thanks to you, Lasky, have had no difficulties in the form of any kind of space turbulence, anything like that. And you are ostensibly currently plotting a course to the nearest hangar bay aboard the station. Lasky, the lieutenant's in the captain's chair currently.
Click on the thing. This is Lasky.
You got us a clear path.
Nothing in the way. We should be fine. No debris, not picking up on anything. Smooth sailing.
All right, then. Take us to the nearest hangar bay. I think Bravo or Charlie might have what we're looking for. Hangar bays B and C are the closest.
You heard him, Dillinger.
Yeah. And Dillinger just looks at you. We're going. Yeah, and he starts pushing on the console. He looks at you. Mind giving me a flight path?
Straightforward until I tell you.
Surely. Yeah, he starts flying.
Sir, I suggest we reach out to whoever is manning their traffic control, request permission to dock.
That's your purview, Lasky. I've routed comms to the station over to you.
Righto. What's the name of the station?
It is Eidolon.
Eidolon Station. This is Second Officer Lasky calling from the Dauntless, requesting permission to come aboard. Over.
You hear, as soon as you clicking on, This is Sergeant Burke, the Eidolon security force. How far out are you lot? We need you down here.
We're about 2 clicks off. Should be there pretty soon.
All right,
please advise safe area to dock. Over.
We what are the closest hangar bays to you? I can advise.
C or D works for me.
All right. Hey, Lannis. Last time you checked, okay. Yeah, you hear some mumbling off to the side. All right, we're turning off the defense systems on Bay Charlie. Just make it there. Get to Strut Alpha as soon as you can. We've been holding here as long as we can. We've had to give the whole rest of the station to the insurgents. How many of you are there?
Enough. All I need to know, with all due respect, all I need to know are: am I dropping my men into a crapshoot here? Is it going to be?
I don't know. We just know that's not one of the ones they blew up. All right. Just
we'll be docking in 5. Stay safe now until we arrive.
I will do our best. Hey, hold that door! And you hear it cut off. Signal.
Yeah, and then I just click back over to the captain. I'm assuming you heard that.
I did. Sounds like it's a little worse than it was this morning. That's what we do.
Maybe. Can't trust these backwater station types. They don't have any idea standard procedure.
Yeah. Well, bring us in best you can. Take all necessary precautions. Make sure defense systems are online. We don't know what could be in there, but if there's anything, you'll wipe them across the deck, I assume.
Right. And then I just immediately touch it. Just Dillinger, 15 right. What are you trying to do?
God damn it, Lasky! This is why I need a flight path, piece of shit. Yeah, and he curls this sort of pseudo wheel basically, and just as the ship turns ever so slightly. Caleb, you get to click over to your comm, and we peel over to your station. Caleb, I need you to do an updated life scan, as I said this morning. There were life signs aboard. I just need a number.
Understood, officer. I'm going to begin conducting said life scan. Would you like me to make the first roll, or are you just going to give this to me?
Yeah. No, yeah, please. Give me a 2d6.
Come on, don't let us down, boy.
So,
7.
The thing about this, guys, the highest die is the one that matters.
I got a 5.
Nice. So you succeed brilliantly.
So I think essentially, if you guys can see here, 1 second. Let me zoom out because my sheet's really zoomed in, so you can see my picture better. If you can see here, the investigating and stuff essentially works with if you get a 1, you succeed, but there are some consequences. It's the bar minimum to succeed in the scenario. If you get a 6, you succeed with basically no consequences, then everything else is like a scale in between.
Yep. Pretty much.
So I got a 5, so I did pretty decent.
Nice. Yeah, you knock over to your life detection sensors, and you basically throw down this holographic image of the entire station in a pseudo 3D overlay, and you just let the scanners do their thing. However, you put in a couple more commands to sort of override the blocking protocols that would be on this station. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, you get a very clear picture. Basically, you know that there are about 200 life signs within strut A. That would be Alpha.
Yeah. The rest seem like barren.
The rest are not completely barren. You don't really see you see a couple of basically pairs of pips here and there, though seeing that few life signs in such a massive station at a level of accuracy that you would actually need to be able to pinpoint them on a coordinate plane is very difficult. But you know that there are a couple of seemingly roving insurgents. And it seems the majority of them are somewhere around Strut A. Yeah. As it is, there appear to be those people, because you can differentiate the people inside of the strut and outside the strut. The people outside the strut seem to be 10 in number. The ones roaming, maybe 5.
Okay.
So, by your count, 15 insurgents.
Okay. So yeah, I'll go over to my officer. Excuse me. There appear to be 200 life signs within Strut A. Outside of that, there are smatterings of other opposing forces, possibly insurgents. Roughly 15 in number. I couldn't do a detailed scan.
That'll do. That'll do, sir.
Should I pass this information on to Sergeant Lasky? Corporal Lasky?
He just kind of squints his eyes at you. Second Lieutenant Lasky.
Apologies.
You been in for maintenance recently, Caleb?
I haven't had my databases backed up for quite some time. We haven't been on world for a while.
That's true. Next time we are, make sure you put in a work order ASAP, but that's not here. Hi. Go give that info to Lasky. I'm going to check in with the men.
Understood. Thank you, officer. And I just go over to my desk and start relaying.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the captain basically has a spot on the bridge that's somewhat disconnected from everyone else.
Yeah.
You, Dillinger, Lasky, and the rest of the, basically, officers are either in the bridge or training the men, but it's mostly you two, Dillinger, and then the weapons officer, who's barely a weapons... Like, all his job is to basically, like, man the torpedo tracking systems. The thing is, Lasky, you basically have control of the automated weapon systems, because it's just a button.
Yeah.
He's a targeting specialist. And his name, if you so desire, is Chief Officer Lee. And yeah, he doesn't talk much at all. He's military, but Dillinger is pulling you guys in to basically a straight path to the hangar bay, which appears to be opening currently. And Caleb, you can walk over to Lasky.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Second Lieutenant Lasky, as I'm informed.
Yeah, I just turned around. Yeah.
It's good to be reintroduced to you. It has been a while.
You as well.
I'm here to inform you of the current status of the ship. There are currently 200 lifeforms within what appears to be a section named Strut Alpha. Within the remainder of this sort of area, there are smatterings of lifeforms, perhaps 15.
Well, as soon as the soldiers go out, I suggest that we lock up the ship then. We don't want somebody wandering on board now, do we?
I am in agreement.
Good to know. Thank you. I just look at the thing on your shirt, Caleb.
I will be performing most of the communication from on board the ship with you, I believe.
Cozy.
I heard it's regulation within the codebook to get acquainted.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and then Bob jumps on the console or whatever, just to kind of break the silence. Well,
yep.
I'm gonna look at these screens now.
Yeah.
I shall look at mine as well. It has been nice discussing things with you. And I'll go ahead over to my console area.
Just fucking jeez, go to light another one, just fucking robots.
Dillinger turns toward you like fucking tin cans. I know how you can stand them. He just staring at Caleb from the back of his head.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Well, it's nice we don't have to extend an umbilical. They're opening it up for us. We can just land right in.
Well, at least docking's easy. Don't need your lazy ass to help me out there.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. 11 south. Just got a smile.
You son of... Yeah, he just, he turns a knob just the slightest bit to the left, Now, I feel like you're the kind of man never satisfied. Classic.
Suppose not. Okay, let's bring her in nice and smooth.
Fucking hate
no
you.
fuck ups.
Yeah, he just starts pushing acceleration up as you guys start getting within this artificial atmosphere that is the hangar bay. And once you're inside, it's this very large receptacle, but nothing like the hangar bay and the destroyer you guys were boarded on. This receptacle is normally meant for just yachts, transport ships, cargo vessels, merchant ships. You guys are a full military transport.
Yeah.
So you're a big daddy. So as you guys go within the hangar bay, you immediately notice, you especially, Lassic, notice one of the blast doors inside the hangar it seems to be in the process of closing. And like you see this just as you enter the hangar, and it takes a couple seconds. It's very slow as it's happening. And Caleb, you probably notice this if you were to look outside the viewing panel.
Yeah, I probably am. So.
Yeah, I like switch over to one of my little monitors and I grab a joystick. I pretty much have access to these small little cameras that kind of just, can swivel. And I'm able to zoom in, so I just grab the joystick and start swiveling it and like zoom up on it just to see if I can see anything.
Yeah, you zoom up on the door and you see it close. You weren't able to see anything through it, and it doesn't seem like there's anything around it.
I'm gonna run a scan for any sort of electronical disturbances within the landing area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you
don't set her down just yet, because like we're still like slowly hovering.
Yeah. You activate the EM sensors, and Caleb, you basically get a call up. Not a comm call, but basically a call for sensor activation of the EM scanners.
Yeah, I'm basically right now. I've just got my eyes fixed on the sort of viewing screen, and I'm just like watching it intently. And without like even looking at the thing, I basically just like flip it over and like hit a couple buttons, and then that gets allowed, and I'm just like intensely still, just staring at like looking for any sign of movement or anything. Basically, I'm just sort of like staring at it.
Yeah, I get that. So, as you stare at it, and Lasky, you get the call back. Your sensors are active. There does not seem to be anything in the way of EM transmission in this area. If there seems to be some very low-level gamma rays, which could be a jamming frequency.
Yeah,
but you guys have anti-jam technology, at least for your internal comms.
Yeah, we have a superior comm system to slice through it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you don't know if you'll be able to get through to the station comms like you were able to outside the station, but as it is, you can communicate with each other just fine.
Well, at least we're not going to blow up when we land. Set her down.
Alrighty. Yeah. It's basically standard practice for you when you are landing to switch over to the basically the lowermost ship camera.
Yeah.
And kind of just do a sweep.
Yeah. So I just grab my joystick and just start.
Yep. Yeah. And as you do so, you do basically a pan 360 degrees, and as you're doing this pan, you come a full 360 degrees the whole way around. There doesn't seem to be anything, but as soon as you get back to the original position, you just notice something right in front of the camera. It looks almost like just a splatter mark of some liquid against the ship. It's this very dark, viscous liquid, seemingly just attached to it. And it was not there when you first connected to the camera.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I retype in the code to see if it's like a malfunction.
Yeah. You retype in the code. You do another pan, effectively. Yep. You retype the pan command. As it's panning, once it gets to like 90 degrees, Dillinger says, "All right, I'm starting docking procedure." And in the middle of that sentence, the ship gets wrenched downward. Basically like 2 meters of distance, not the full weight of the deck, gets pulled down the ship. And at that point, basically the ship's basically alert systems go off as the thrusters attempt to activate.
I stand up. And I'm gonna go over to basically grab just a like small suitcase that I just like adjust my clothes quickly and go grab a what is essentially a small suitcase that I will need once I'm on board the ship just to get ready.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't fling and fucking hit my head on the console was because I actually always strap myself into the chair just because like we have a really really big. Yeah, so like my guy just jolts or whatever, but one of my consoles to the left of me starts to spark and just barely catches fire, part of it. So it's like, fuck. I just unget it. I'm going to go over to a fire extinguisher to put it out.
Yeah. Both of you give me a D6 for these actions you're taking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, this, like, the ship, when I say it was wrenched downward, imagine something crushing the ship from the top, pushing it downward, sort of thing, basically.
3.
Okay. Cool. So, Caleb, yeah, you rush to grab this suitcase. Where's the suitcase?
It would basically be over by the charging, where I was. I would have brought it from where I was charging. So it's basically sort of at the entrance to this room, almost, just like probably like hanging on some form of hook or in some sort of like slight locker near the entrance to this room. Once I've completed that, if I have time, I go and quickly start all of the little figurines, collectibles that have fallen off my desk. I quickly like go and I start like putting them back in their line.
Yeah.
Before I get ready to head out.
You start rushing over and grab the suitcase off the wall. And as you're going back, you almost slip until you basically catch yourself just at like a full arm splay distance without just about to hit your head on basically a raised tile on the floor that could have very well destroyed your head.
Yeah.
However, you've basically saved yourself by virtue of the fact that every motor in your body has the same horsepower, so all of them can lift you.
Yeah.
And yeah, you raise yourself back up. Lasky, you rush over to the fire extinguisher, and as you get there, as you're like about to punch the glass, because you basically haven't memorized where this thing is, but this thing is not in the most convenient of places. Yeah. So as you're running to get there, it takes a matter of moments, a little bit of time. Caleb, it took you much quicker to get your suitcase. However, Lasky, surgery. Yeah, I know, right? You run over, and just as you're about to break the glass, there is another, as the ship is just wrenched downward again, and this time it hits the deck hard.
Shit.
As Dillinger was probably in the middle of saying something like, "God damn it, I'm just trying to lower the dock," and this time, like the first time, because he doesn't wear his seatbelt, he has a seatbelt. This time, because he had kind of propped himself on his arms to hit his save himself from hitting his face on the console before. This time his face just plain slams into the console. And Caleb, as you're rushing back to your desk, you just glance over and you notice him just slump out of his chair.
Can I make a save? Because the thing is, I'm imagining like I'm going up and I'm just about to hit it with my fist or whatever, and then it goes forward, so I could hit my head on the wall. Can I try and make a save to not just fucking slam into the wall?
That is just basically what the 2 means.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. I mean, unless you would like to do everything in your power to retain balance.
Yeah, I don't want to hit my head on anything or my shoulder.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and give me another D6. Nice. Yeah. So
I think it might be more interesting if he fails.
Okay. So this is a lot of fun. You, my friend.
So I need to beat a 5, right?
Yes. If they roll higher than you, yeah, you fail. Mm-hmm.
So
if you can roll a 5 or 6.
Basically, if I think it's more interesting if he fails, I can click here and roll a D6. And so I rolled lower than Frosty, which means that what I wanted to happen doesn't happen, what he wanted to happen happens. So I wanted him to fail, so I wanted him to hit his head, but he succeeds because he rolled higher than me.
Right. Oh, shit. Yeah, so... And yeah, this doesn't have any direct interaction between characters. This is just player to player, basically. Player to character, basically. Yeah. So, Lasky, you try... you're about to punch into this glass, and the ship just lurches downward again, and you save yourself from slamming into the ground by basically grabbing onto a support handle on the side that would normally be used to basically pull out a compartment. But in this case, it's a latched compartment, so it's stable.
How hard did we fall?
You probably, knowing the ship, you probably have lower, basically the bottom of this ship has hull damage. Based on just
so we slammed really hard. If we slammed really hard, if I'm holding on to something, I feel like my arm would get dislocated just by
It
like
may very well.
Yeah, so
yeah, you at the very least like you have some bone bruising or some tendon bruising. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, my guy definitely dislocated his right shoulder. I think fucking doing that.
Better than Dillinger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm slowly walking over to Dillinger, like one hand on like a rail because the ship's like this area is like slightly tilted. I'm trying to like support myself, make my way over to him, and basically I'm just going to like try and prick him up and just prop him against something. Or if there's for like sort of when we go through space forms or anything, if on the walls or something they have those like ties that you would assume those like spinning roller coasters and stuff have to like tie you to the wall. I would like put him in one of those seats and like strap him up essentially, just so that he's like tied to the wall, so that he doesn't like get knocked again and hit his head and like kill himself or something.
Whom?
Dillinger.
Nice. Yeah.
Because I don't know whether he's alive or dead, but this is better. Like I don't have medical expertise, so this is better than.
Yeah. Well, before you do that, you're shoveling your toys and doodads into your case.
Yeah.
And you notice Dillinger in this state as the second time the ship lurches downward. You're able to support yourself just fine. Though you kind of have to squat to deal with the shock absorption, but you rush over to Dillinger and you basically try to just get him supported in the chair. Yeah, he has blood just rolling down his face. His nose is just destroyed. There's broken, and then there is just crushed up against your face.
Excuse me, I believe we need a medical officer.
Yeah.
Lasky, like, I come around the corner, like, holding my shoulder, and I have, like, the little fire extinguisher, and I just, like, just not even paying attention. I just go up and start putting out the fire on my console, and just, Dillinger! What about slow and steady on the stick? Do you not understand? You fucking Neanderthal.
Dillinger is seemingly unconscious. Caleb, you would notice this. I don't know if you would.
Lasky, well, I haven't looked at him. So.
Of course. Yeah.
I'd like to try and go over to Lasky and just pop his shoulder back in, like with one sort of motion without him, like because it's better to do it. Yeah, it's better to do it with surprise. So I just like start making my way over to him, like sort of crouch down, like one hand on like a sort of rail that's behind their sort of set of desks. And I make my way over to him and just sort of like grab his arm and just like with the one movement try and like pop it back into the socket.
Yeah. And here's the thing, now that you guys are rolling a bit more, if ever you want to risk your insanity, if you ever want to risk going insane, but because you want to succeed on a roll very well, you can roll an extra d6, or in some cases only d6, to basically risk your insanity, or to risk
Does
insanity.
it have to be relevant to like risking your, like, if I succeed on this... Okay, so I would actually like to do that then, because I would like to succeed on this, and I think
nice.
Fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because and I'll give you an example in a situation like this. Like, if you try to pop his arm back in, even if you, like... Because if you don't fail the insanity check after doing that, because you get an insanity check after risking it. If you do fail it, it's just... something happens inside your head. If you don't fail it, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Basically.
I guess for this it would be more like there's a chance like people could die here. That would be like the sort of fear kicking, like the initial fear kicking in that sort of like would start the snowball of insanity afterwards. Yeah. Yep. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'll roll 2d6 and then pick the higher one.
Yes, and if you are using insanity, okay.
Good, I didn't roll the 1, so I've got a 3.
I mean, hey, it's still a success.
So would you like me to make the insanity check before we figure out what happens there? So that's just another d6?
Yes.
I got a 4.
Okay. Yeah, so you're fine. It is only when you get your number or lower. Yeah. So you just walk over to Lasky, and Lasky, you feel a hand on your shoulder, and basically before you can get a word out, you feel this intense shooting pain go up your arm and into your shoulder blade, and your shoulder feels like it's on fire, but it doesn't feel like it's separated from anything anymore.
Yeah, it's just like it's this fuck
back into place.
And I believe another medical officer may be needed to grab some painkillers.
You don't say. Yeah, Lee, the weapons officer, was fully strapped in this whole time. He's just starting to strap himself out, but like grabbing onto handholds and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm going to calm the lieutenant. Lieutenant? Come in. Shit. You guys get a comm on the officer frequency. All of you, basically, in the bridge. This is Sergeant Major Irons. To 8th Platoon. Lieutenant's dead. We need everyone down at the troop bay. There's a serious problem.
What? Yeah, so my guy just is like, are you fuck? So I go to touch one of the buttons, forgetting that it was just on fire. So it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Which other button? And then I just touch another button. What?
Yeah.
This is Lasky. What? Can you repeat that, please? Over. Shit. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. You hear Irons again. I said this is Sergeant Major Irons, and you need to get your asses down here right now.
Fuck. Yeah, and then I look over and notice Dillinger just...
He's not moving.
We, Caleb, and, what's it, Lee?
Yeah, that's the other guy.
Caleb, Lee, Dillinger, Medical Bay. I'm going to go down and figure out what the fuck is going on.
I got him. Yeah, Lee rushes over to him and just sort of picks him up out of your buckles, Caleb, and starts hauling him over to the med bay.
Understood,
and
sir. I believe it'll be better for me to head with you. As one of the communications officers, it's better if I have a good idea of what is occurring at the present time.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate it.
Let's go. And I like start storming away from my from my desk, and then I'll like stop a second and turn around and go back to one of these drawers. I pull out a key from like my belt and I just start fiddling with it. And I'll pull out the drawer, and you'll see that there's like just a laser pistol inside of a holster.
Yep.
And I'll just grab that and holster it to my belt.
Yeah.
And then start going.
Nice. Yeah. You start off, and the three of you starts to walk toward the door leading out of the bridge. And as the door starts to open, we are going to take a break.
Nice. How loud is the alarm for those of you in chat, by the way?